This is a little look at the crazy weather we have here in the Central Plains. And when I was in Korea back many years ago, I kind of missed this, the crazy rapid transitions we get here. And what you saw there was just in like a 2-hour span. And this is what we're left with tonight. Another very cool thing to look at. Bit of sunshine coming in the base of those stratocute clouds. And as you might have guessed, front rolling through the area here. I don't know if you can see that on the chart here. I think some of you might have noticed that I was going to do an extended presentation, and I'm probably going to have to reschedule that a bit. I feel kind of like a little bit off. So, we'll just kind of do the usual thing tonight, and maybe in a few days we'll bring that together and do that. Anyway, here's the wind flow across Texas. You can see that. It is northerly. So we've got a big air mass change here, bringing in a lot of modified Canadian air from the north. And normally we would expect to see southeasterly flow coming up towards the frontal boundary, but we've got something a little bit different. We've got easterly flow. So what do you think happens when we have easterly flow on the Great Plains? Well, keep in mind that when we have easterly flow, that's upslope. Because elevations in this area here around Oklahoma are at about 1,000 feet, becoming 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. So you're forcing air to ascend and go up to higher elevations. And that's definitely true even in South Texas and Mexico. So as a result, you can see the convection we're getting in this area. Let me see if I've got a... Okay, there we go. So if I pan this a little bit north, you can see some thunderstorm towers here around Sanderson and Fort Stockton. And you can also see the easterly flow in the cloud streets down here. So even if we don't have data, we can kind of use this satellite data. I should say, even if we don't have surface data, we can use satellite to kind of pinpoint exactly how our low-level flow is going. And we pan a little bit north, and there's the front coming into around Cotulla to Victoria and into the Houston area, where it produced some storms earlier today. And then as you can see, north of that, a lot of dry, low-level air. Pretty devoid of clouds there. But aloft, there's some mid-level, high-level lift there. Maybe a little bit of convective debris. And then you go north, and man, there's the dry air coming in. In fact, I like this Aqua Terra satellite imagery. You can zoom down and see cities. There's Oklahoma City there, and Norman is right down here somewhere. Let me see if I can bring that out real quick. Nope, don't have good swath coverage there today, but there you go. All right. Further east, where the moisture is a little bit richer, we're getting a few thunderstorms. This is the Alexandria radar, showing a few storms there in northwestern Louisiana. Doesn't look like anything too severe. This storm looks like this is about 30 miles northwest of Alexandria. It looks like it's pulling together pretty well. See the strong reflectivity gradients right here, but nothing that really suggests supercells, just, right at this time. This is kind of a broad overview using infrared satellite imagery, which we're going to be using more of because it's getting to be winter. Well, we're not quite to winter yet, but the days are getting shorter. In fact, we're close to the equinox, and right now we're losing 2 hours, or we're losing 2 minutes every day on the sunset time. So tomorrow night it's going to be 2 minutes earlier, and then so you can imagine that adds up pretty quick. After a week, we're going to be looking at about 15 minutes earlier for the sunset. So that means it's going to be dark when we do these evening casts, and we're going to have to use infrared imagery to kind of see what's going on. So there's the line of thunderstorms across Louisiana all the way up to Ohio, Kentucky, and Lake Erie. Pan that so you can get a look at that. So what's driving that front? Cold air, of course. Look at these lows up in Manitoba. We've got a few 20s even. I forgot the name of that lake. I know one is called Winnipegosis and the other is something else. But lots of 30s across that area, and even 40s all the way down into Kansas. So things are cooling down a bit, and when we have a lot of cold air this time of year across a broad swath, that cold air is going to want to spread very rapidly in all directions. So that's what's kicking that front on south. It's a pretty quiet night weather-wise. Got a severe thunderstorm watch here for the Buffalo area down to Erie, Pittsburgh. But out here in the Rockies, we've got a red flag advisory, so looks like up there, probably a bit of summer hanging on. But I don't know. It looks like we got a winter weather advisory for Montana, so that might be some damming there along the Rockies. We'll have to check that out and see what's going on. Yeah, look at this. Red flag advisory. So, yeah, let's pull up that sector. Well, summer is definitely back in the Pacific Northwest. Portland up to 85 again, sweating quite a bit there. Salem 89, then we got 90s, almost 100 at Medford. This is current data here. So, yeah, those guys are suffering there. We've got westerly flow coming off the Pacific, but obviously we have some strong subsidence working on that area. So getting some diabatic or adiabatic warming through there. But what's going on with that winter weather advisory? Because it looks warm in Montana. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be a change in a couple days. I don't know. So I'm clicking on that winter weather advisory, and I don't have a clear explanation on that yet. I'll just click one of the counties here. If I can't figure that out, we'll just move on. Yeah, they're going for some snow showers on Monday, so that's probably what that is. Okay, our forecast. And again, I like looking at precipitable water, which is these purple shades. And we're going to start using less of that as we get into a more cool pattern. But for right now, when Gulf moisture is still very prominent in the forecast, I do like using this a lot because it helps track the richer moisture and the tropical air as it makes forays into the eastern U.S. and central U.S. So let me set this at 0 hour, and you can see a pretty strong gradient through here. This is that front bringing in drier air into the central U.S. and Midwest. Then out in the Gulf, it looks like we have this one chunk of moisture just south of New Orleans. Doesn't look like that really goes anywhere. Even following the darker purple, I can see it just kind of hangs around and doesn't seem to do much. So I'm not sure the reason for that. I'm thinking maybe there could be some convective cells out there using up the moisture. But look up here to the north. Looks like we have another cold air outbreak. And you kind of have to do the contours yourself. You see this image? It missed this high pressure area. Got to draw that in sometimes. So always got to be attentive to that. And there you can see the northerly flow coming in on the east side of that. Doesn't look like that front makes it very far south. Well, it does here about Wednesday or Thursday. Hang on, I'm going to have to mute my phones. Okay. Let's see, where were we at? Wednesday. This we don't get much of a very, very southward push of polar air on that outbreak about midweek. In fact, it looks like we drag up some tropical moisture into Texas. So that's going to be about Thursday or Friday. looks like our rain chances are going to be going up right around then. It looks like a similar story for the start of the weekend there for Texas. And some of that moisture begins going north into the Mississippi River Valley, into Illinois and Wisconsin over the weekend. So there may be some clouds and rain with that. The Caribbean looking pretty quiet there. It's like another slug of moisture comes up on around the 19th. And I'm not seeing really any strong easterly waves or hurricanes being picked up by the models. So I think we're going to be mostly under the influence of these occasional polar outbreaks. Highly modified, not very cool. And other than that, looks pretty quiet. And then just a quick look out there at the Atlantic on the NHC panels. Got this one storm right here. So that's going to be recurving to the north, and then these might come together around Florida, but this looks to be pretty quiet to the south also. So I think that's about all I got for tonight. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Let me check the chat feed. Yeah, I appreciate everybody joining us, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.